Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to Rise Up After Dark. I'm late to cracking my drink. We're
I know,
you
right?
like that? Yeah. Everybody.
Fortunately for me, with my Guinness, I'm stuck in this position for about a minute to do the correct pour. So
let the foam keep building. Get it out there. Yeah.
Well,
Will
this is the
cracking
place.
a monster this late, obviously.
Yeah, right. A big monster. Exactly. Will's got a monster. You got funny teeth on the shelf, and we're here with our friend Blake, who we'll introduce in just a second. This is Rise Up After Dark. Wherever you are, whenever you listen, welcome. It's time to let your hair down, crack a drink, and talk about what it's like to be on the inside of the wild and wonderful world of cryptocurrency. We're going to give our take on the news of the day, get some commentary from Blake about what he's been seeing. But first, I have to tell you, before we get to your introduction, Blake, the rules of the game we play here on Rise Up After Dark. If during the course of the conversation you hear this sound while you're speaking, that means you got a point. Points, they're good. And just like your favorite game show, the rules are made up. Points don't matter. If you hear this sound, it means a point has been taken away from you. And those points don't matter. At the end of the night, the person with the most points will win our adoration, some applause, and maybe some more fun sound effects. And I don't know, at the next conference we all go to, we'll buy you a beer. Sound good?
And what happens when you hear a dolphin noise?
When you hear a dolphin noise, it either means Will has finished his Guinness, or I've just had too many on the soundboard.
But
I just like it
regardless,
because
it means that a year has been taken from my life.
Yeah, I was about to say I like it because it kills Alex's brain cells.
Every time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we play here. We're so glad to have you, Blake. Thank you for making time for the show. Do you want to tell our audience about who you are and what the heck you do?
Yeah. Number one, love to be here. Thanks for having me. I don't have a beer because it's I'm currently in Seoul, so it's like 10 a.m. So I got a matcha tea that I'm drinking out of a beer mug. So I think
that works.
Counts.
Yeah,
that's fancy, man. Very fancy and good for you sounding.
Yeah. So if you see the green drink, yeah, it's we're mixing it up.
You're like, I'm drinking a pint of absinthe.
Yeah. It's not a problem until you stop.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so lovely to be here. I'm Blake. How do I even start? I would say, so I guess I am the co-founder of Myosin XYZ. Myosin XYZ is, we call it the ultimate marketing network. Really what we're doing is aggregating the best marketers from around the world, specifically in crypto and Web3. We bring them into the network, aka a DAO, but we operate it a little differently. We're very professional about it. We started centralized and progressively decentralized, and we work with on-chain companies, blockchains, and brands to help them grow. And we've been around for about 3 years. It's been a really fun ride. We worked with a lot of companies all over the world. We have hubs. I'm normally based in New York, currently in Seoul right now. Been nomading for a year and a half now, I think. And then we have hubs in New York, Lisbon, and Seoul, which is partly why I'm here. Yeah, and so really great to be here and excited to chat more with you guys.
Blake, what the heck
nice
is
to meet you.
A DAO?
Oh, okay, that's a fun one. So when we talk about DAOs, right? I think let's even just start with what's the acronym, right? So
yeah,
DAO
and let me tell you, a lot of
acronym.
people in our audience, they're at all levels of experience. Some people have never heard this word before, and some people have heard this word so many times that they're ready to throw the multi-sig out the window because it still means nothing to them,
Yes. Okay, well, this is perfect because I love, I do, full transparency, I go on a lot of dates and I love crypto pilling all my dates, and you'd be surprised. That's a point. It works quite often. And
You're the crypto bro that all those girls are trying to like save their girlfriends from.
I just want you to know, I gave you a point for I go on a lot of dates. The crypto pilling, it might be a gwump, but
But it works. So I mean, I think I need some points for that. I'm the one evangelizing it.
Yeah, you're out here. You're changing the meme.
I'm out here. Yeah, one step at a time. You'd be surprised. But anyways, yeah, it does feel like it's after dark even this morning. No, so a DAO. What is a DAO? So DAOs are short for decentralized autonomous organization, and it's this concept that within Web3, blockchain, crypto, we can create a new type of organization. So specifically for us with Myosin, I think there's some important backstory here. Before all this crypto on-chain blockchain stuff, which we kicked this off around 22, I spent most of my career in early stage tech, building, launching, investing in tech companies in New York. I have two co-founders, Sean and Simon, shout out to them. They are both longtime marketers, and they have been working in the agency world, marketing agency line for quite a long time. Now, with that in mind, I think the big insight with DAOs it's this idea that you can start to form organizations or groups that don't really have any one centralized organization or power structure, I guess. So it's more like a cooperative, a collective is the best way I like to describe it. And so that's what we've been trying to build, because I think the challenge is DAOs are really starting to take off maybe around 22. But I think the challenge is they're just kind of like group chats with a bank account is what some people call them. But I never really liked that description, because I've been in a lot of these DAOs. And here's the thing, it comes from psychology, I guess. It's called tragedy of the commons, right? Which is basically when everyone shares the same responsibility and everyone can participate, but you don't have clear accountability, ownership, or leadership, nobody does anything, because everyone just assumes the other guys do the next thing. And so that's a big reason why DAOs oftentimes don't work. Now, the reason I like to think our DAO works to some extent is we've always believed in this idea of starting centralized and progressively decentralizing to get to that decentralized autonomous state over time. And so that's what we've been working towards, is giving power to the members over time, building community, building the structures, building the framework, so that as we start to grow and scale, we can all work together more effectively. Anyways, I can keep going, but I need to stop talking because I just keep ranting.
No, it's okay. I'd like to know, so for a decentralized autonomous organization like Myosin specifically, what does that look like? And let me give you this to keep in the back of your mind. Our friend Charlie in the audience asked, like, how does someone even get into marketing in like a crypto way? Because a lot of the companies are kind of like this. It seems very informal.
Yeah.
So what's it look like at Myosin, and how would you suggest how do people like you and your contributors get started?
Yeah. So I think for us, it's a little bit on the way, well, it's two things. So there's a couple questions there. Number one, I think with Myosin, one of the benefits or the privileges I think we have is when we started, I think when it comes to community, right? The challenge is always, how do you build a community from the ground up? And how do you vet for quality? Especially because we're delivering marketing services for some of the biggest blockchains, all the way down to early stage, on-chain companies. And so for us, it was always around vetting, qualifying, and making sure that people who join are actually good at what they do. So for us, you have to apply, you have to go through multiple rounds of interviews, you have to tell us why you're actually a good fit, and what you can contribute to the Myosin network. If you're ever interested, definitely go check out Myosin XYZ. You can apply. But honestly speaking, right, like we need to make sure that if you're gonna join, you already are up to par on that front. Eventually, we do want to kind of expand the roster in the community so that anyone can join, and there are some things in the works there. Stay tuned. But in terms of getting started in crypto and marketing in general, I would say it really just comes down to getting your hands dirty, because it is a very small, intimate industry right now. I do believe this year it's gonna, I'm sure you guys are talking about it, and we can talk about it later, but regulation and the industry in general is looking very bullish for crypto. So I think it is gonna blow up. There's so much opportunity out there, but it is a very meritocratic space. So I think it's really around just getting in there. All of crypto, they live on Twitter. So if you don't have a Twitter or an X, I guess in this case, you need to get on there, start interacting, start actually using the technology, start contributing, and showing that you're sharp, you understand the people. I have a lot of friends, and a lot of our members actually started just in Discords for different projects just because they loved it so much, and they would meet other people. There we go, right? You just start participating, start showing that you're someone who is worth talking to, right? And that you have ideas. It's really cool because people see that, they recognize that, and they'll say, hey, let's talk. and then like, hey, do you want to like run this thing this month, and then like show us that, and then you crush it at that, and you just keep working your way up. That's the thing that really gets me excited about crypto, Web3, DAOs, etc. Is and it's global too, right? We've had members from all over the world, we had a member from Togo at the very beginning. We have members in, Australia, we have members in Korea, Lisbon, everywhere. So you can do it for anywhere in the world at any time. Just do it. Is really all I say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because the answer to that question truly is just start.
Yeah.
Start.
Like,
don't overthink it.
I was exactly like you said, Blake. I started by finding a Discord server that I was excited to be in. Evan and I, actually, that's how we linked up.
Grew up in the same place, yeah.
We grew up in the same Discord.
TikTok too, man.
Grew up in the same.
It was dark.
Discord.
A little damp.
But to say that I had no experience in marketing would be pretty accurate. I was vaguely familiar with a few concepts, and I had seen a little bit of it. And at the time, I had recently started my own TikTok channel here, so I was working on trying to market myself as a human being and a personal brand, and figure out what all of that meant. And I was terrible. The content was so cringe. It was awful. But learning more and more every day. And then, of course, Evan and I got started with, founding projects, and we had $0. So if you wanted anyone to know about it, you had to figure out how to do marketing yourself. And we got very lucky that a good friend of ours, Michael, was also a founding member of our initial first project, and he was a professional lifelong marketer,
like
ran a marketing agency.
Guy,
Learned
Big
a
time
ton from him, and just fell down the YouTube rabbit hole and started figuring shit out. And then I think it's twofold. Then you also have to figure out Web3 intimately to start speaking about it in a helpful way. And then it's really just probably building a personality on social media in some capacity, because that's where Web3 lives.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I think the key too, on just like building on that, is I think just like kind of drilling the point home that like everyone came from Web 2, like literally it's inherent. Like nobody's like, when people say they like been in this space for a long time nowadays, it's like, so you've been doing this for 2 years, and like, some people have done it for even longer, right? But even the concept of crypto marketing barely existed long before that. Like, yeah, maybe 2018, maybe, but even then it was a bit kind of a TBD, right?
Which is so funny, because I'm sure you've seen, Blake, like the requirements on job descriptions for some things. It's like you start looking at like so and so is hiring a marketing lead, and it's like 10 years of marketing and Web3 experience. It's like, no,
it's like, who?
Nobody.
And that's how they're not going to make it. I don't know. Yeah. It's like I will say, and just some spiciness, I guess, or some tea.
It is after dark.
I was just about to ask you for some spiciness.
Yeah, I think the state of marketing in crypto is so interesting. But I think the TLDR is like, you would be shocked. Like, we worked with a lot of teams. We've talked to some big names that I'm sure many people have heard of, and there's a lot of people within those organizations who unfortunately are not really at all crypto native, which is shocking considering some of these projects are very deep in, but it's kind of the reality of human beings, right? Like, they raise a lot of money, they get really big, they have to rapidly hire. And unfortunately, and this is the pros and cons of what we talked about earlier, is because crypto is so meritocracy and comes from the ground up, sometimes it is a bit harder to like vet like who is good. Like, I don't even know, because it's like we've only been around this thing for 2 years, so it's hard to like, you don't have those signals that we used to have in Web 2. So I think some of these bigger orgs will just be like, yeah, this guy was like marketing at PayPal for like 10 years. Like, he's going to be a good fit for this. And then I worked with some of those people. I'd be like, yeah, so you just like can you like test that in your like wallet? And they're like, they don't even have a fucking wallet. It's crazy. Or they're like, how do I switch to this network? I'm like, you're like a CMO or like a marketing lead, some big companies.
You're someone important here. What?
Yeah, you should be doing this. Yikes. This is wild.
I will say, I feel like a lot of companies, and I won't ask you to name any companies, but I am curious about like, who are some of the people you've worked with, if you're comfortable telling us. And you don't have to name them in any of these stories, but I will say, like I was at ETH Denver a couple years ago, and I was standing outside getting COVID tested. It was one of those years with people, like 8 people at a table, and 3 of them were from Coinbase. two of them were from Kraken, and there was another one from like another, you name it, like centralized kind of company, exchange type corporate crypto company. And we were just going around, where you're from, and they were all Silicon Valley types, and they were all, like I'm using I don't know, Hootsuite and doing this, and just like the software app world. And I was like, what do you guys doing? What do you think about is your first crypto conference? And they were like, yeah, actually I just got a wallet the other day. I was like, really? I was like, wow. They seem to value that like legacy Silicon Valley thing over, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a certain like Web2 marketing skill set, but.
And this was Coinbase, yeah?
Coinbase, I mean, you name it. A lot of corporate types in crypto prefer to hire that way, it seems like.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to. I mean, sorry, Blake, I think I just cut you off right. You're about to say something, but I remember I was trying to get a job at Coinbase for years, and like I come from a corporate sales background, and I have experience with Web3, and so I was like, oh, hey, they have some sales positions here. This would make sense. Never gave me the time of day, but I remember looking through all their job descriptions, and at the same time, like, if you think about these large organizations, like Coinbase has hired a ton of people, a lot of these big organizations have hired a ton of people, and the amount of people that you have to pull from, the pool size of people who actually have Web3 experience is so infinitesimally small as compared to the hiring pool that they're used to, that you have to take people from, all they have is Web2 experience. You have to take from there in order to build up this big company that you can then, in Coinbase's case, take public and profit off of that and all that kind of stuff. You have to.
You're totally right. I want to build on that. So I mean, to be fair, I'll like kind of so I think that's the caveat, right? And we see this all the time, and we have that challenge too. Is like it's a small space, and honestly, that's why I say like just get started, because the amount of opportunity that's out there, if you can really show and be a good crypto marketer and start to be a professional about it, I think is this missing angle, right? Because there's kind of like DGen land over here. You're just cartoon PFP, and you're just good at making memes, and like you're good at community, which is also valuable. And then there's like corporate Web2, like land. The people who can be professional, who can know how to talk to, or even interact with a Coinbase type company, while also really understanding how to run and understand deeply the crypto culture. There's so much opportunity out there, and it's what everyone's looking for. It's what we're looking for. It's why companies work with us, because we are just always aggregating those types of people. That's that really rare middle grounds that I think we just need more of. So please come into this space and help us grow is really all I'd say.
Yeah, we need more people. And honestly, it really is just that, like, it sounds so weird. And I know we already kind of talked about this, but to hear us here say like, hey guys, looking into the cameras here, just get started, like get into a Discord. A lot of the people here build a network, get on chain, play around with stuff, learn a little bit of code, maybe dive into Solidity, play with Ethereum, do a whole bunch of other languages, dive into a whole bunch of other stuff if you can play around with it, and then like post what you've learned on like Twitter, tag some people, slide in some DMs, show people what you've built. I mean, we have a guy in our community, Michael, he built some stuff on Base, threw it out there on Twitter. Jesse Pollock retweeted it, and after a few more months of playing around with stuff on Base, he got hired at Coinbase as one of their blockchain engineers, which is awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you've used it, Blake, but Mike built the Base token store. Have you used the Base token store?
Base token store. I don't think I have. I'm gonna check it out.
I really thought you were gonna say Logadog.
Oh, dude, he built Logadog too.
Oh, dude, he built Logadog.
He built this killer logging hot dog. It was a hot dog eating contest on chain where you would take a photo of yourself.
It was the first thing that Jesse retweeted.
And it was like crowdsourced, like, is this picture a man eating a hot dog or not? And he had to train it, to get it like to recommend.
Oh, it's like the Silicon Valley thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then it was a hot dog eating contest on chain, and whoever won, the guy who I thought I was going to win, and I would, have a day where I would just binge hot dogs. But the guy who won, his name is Beans, and this guy committed so hard to the bit. He ate hot dogs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. I think he made half an ETH. By eating hot dogs in this contest.
I love that.
Eating hot dogs. Yeah. I love it.
But the Base token store is like it's a beautiful consumer app that takes the Web2 shopping experience of, buying a pair of shoes, comparing two products online on eBay, and makes it for buying tokens. You can do it with a card. You can donate to a charity at checkout. It's seamless and beautiful and elegant and a no-brainer product. So
yeah,
I love it.
cool.
But I'm on it right now, clicking around. Yeah.
But on that note, just to tie a quick little bow on it, just to let people know, like, you can get involved in this space in so many different ways. You can code, but if coding's not for you, it's not for me in the slightest. I started making content because I thought I had something valuable to say. I didn't for about 2 years, but it took me a while. But then, like, get into a Discord, build a community. I've also had jobs where I was like writing crypto articles for some NFT companies. There's so many different ways to use your skill sets that you have and the things that you're good at and interested in that can be put to work in the crypto Web3 space to start building a career there. There's so many things and so many different ways to get involved.
Opportunity is limitless. You just got to grab it.
Alex, will you tell the story of how we met Blake and your first impression of him?
Yeah. So basically, we got invited by Stellar to come to this kind of marketing workshop, and one of the I almost said performances. One of the
I wish, man.
One of the panels was this opportunity that I'm still racking my brain over, like how people didn't realize that this is what this was, where Blake was one of the panelists, and it was just like a suite of Web3 marketing professionals. And a founder from some project would sit there and they would get to first impression everything with these marketing experts and then get feedback and ask questions and answer questions and kind of get like what amounts to a multi-$1,000 free consultation with a bunch of professionals that it would be very hard to sit down with. And the whole time I was sitting there thinking like, okay, this is going to be sweet. And I just remember looking at Blake's face as he's trying to ask questions, and he's just being met with so much defensiveness from these founders who were, I think, caught a little off guard. Like I said, to be fair, I think that they were not expecting to be on stage in front of everyone. I think they thought it was going to be a private thing, but it was like way too valuable to put behind closed doors. So I'm glad they put it on stage. But they just, I don't know, it was just like not receptive. I just remember looking at Blake thinking he was like trying so hard to do the thing he was supposed to do, and they were just not playing ball. So that's why I went up to him afterwards and just to say, like, thought the content was really great. I wish that it had been better received because it was very valuable.
It was a good time.
What was it? Was it just like asking questions that they themselves really weren't prepared to answer? Was it, what was the general gist of it? What was the feeling?
Yeah, Blake, if you want to recap kind of like how it went and what your
I also think Blake kind of got railroaded by some of the other panelists.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think it was a tough panel.
There's one or two, and let me, some behind the scenes action there. One or two of those folks were not really my picks, but it's kind of, you got to work with the people you're working with. And they're like, yeah, we work with this person, bring them in. I'm like, sure. And then I met them at a dinner the night before, and I'm like, wow, like, when you just like, you're at dinner with someone and then they just talk the whole time, and you're like, I thought I talked a lot. Like, this is another level, man. Like so yeah, you work with what you got. But nice fellows, all that. But yeah, what we were doing at Stellar was quite fun. So it actually comes from, because we work with, this is a common ask really is, especially within crypto blockchain, right? There's so many devs, engineers. And it's great because I've been on both sides. Like I said, I was working in tech for most of my previous career. I did work in brand strategy agency land for a couple of years. That's kind of my agency experience. So I've seen both sides, and it's quite funny. Like when you work in tech or product, you think everything is about the product and the tech. And if you're in your marketing, you think everything's marketing. And you just start to realize eventually as you get older and you do this long enough, you're like, oh, it's a bit of both, right? Like product market fit requires a good product and good marketing, and boom, like there you go. Shocker. But all this to say is like, we get this request all the time from accelerators, ecosystems, and other teams of just kind of having us come in and just even give this like marketing 101, like what the hell is marketing crypto look like? How's it different? I wrote an article about that a couple years ago. I think I need to update it and re-release it because I think a lot of stuff is still true. The TLDR, if someone ever asks, is the way I describe marketing in Web3 or crypto is it's really about community, content, and partnerships are kind of the three pillars or three legs of the stool. And if you can activate on all three of those, then you create that flywheel that can really get going. Now it's easier said than done because it's very hand wavy high and pie in the sky. We can dive into that later, but that's really the core of it. Now, anyways, what we did is with these accelerators and funds and whatnot is we would give these workshops, and what we realized is like people just want action. People want to bring it home. They want to take the theory into practice, and so we just started to run this thing where we'd go to people and we'd say, give us 3 of your best companies and we'll just give them feedback on the Zoom call and then we'll start doing that. And so people really liked it. So when we did the Stellar activation for the blockchain, and it was just a marketing event, just that ecosystem, we were like, let's take this to the next level. Like we're going to be on stage. Like let's do almost like a marketing roast, basically, of just give us your projects and we're just going to pull up the screens on stage and we're just going to fucking rip it to shreds in terms of.
It's such a good idea. Like to be clear, it's such a good idea.
Like. Yeah. And it was really fun. But yes. And then it was a bit of a last minute decision to basically be like, we were just going to be up on stage, like doing it. And then while we were there, we're like, you know what? Like the founders are here. Like it'd be better to have a conversation rather than just us talk at the screen to the audience. So yeah, it was a bit last minute for them, but it was funny because I will say I talked to that specific founder who was so like resistant, and after he was like, yeah, like I thought it was great. Like I want you guys to be even more like aggressive towards me. I'm like, did you? Because every time we were like giving you any type of feedback, you would just keep making excuses to be like, yeah, but like, so
yeah,
it's something we got to work
that
on.
one.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. Human psychology and how it works. So we're figuring it out. Yeah, but it was a good time. We really had fun there.
I'm wondering, so there's a few questions, and I'm wondering if I think an interesting way to cover these projects that people are asking about tonight would be to talk about them from the marketing perspective specifically, because
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Marketing is both the villain in the conversation and also the unsung hero in the conversation a lot of the time.
Yes.
It's needed, but if you do it wrong, oh dear God.
Well,
I have a good analogy for this. It's the marketing versus product thing. Let me see if I can pull it, if I can just remember it on the fly, which is if you have all product and no marketing, it's just like a shiny car in a garage that nobody's gonna fucking see, right? Like everyone just thinks it's good. But then this is the flip side of that. When you have all marketing and no good product, you can wrap shit with tinfoil, but it doesn't matter. It's still shit, right? Yeah. So like that's the issue. So that's that sweet spot you want to hit, is like, how do I build something that's good enough that I can really start to put out there and then people like, and then you keep iterating on it to get it better. So those are like the polar opposites, I guess. Anyways, sorry.
No, it's super true, and we talk about it all the time. There are so many examples of both of those, I think, like just things that are existing in one of the two extremes, and very few examples of things that are finding any kind of a balance, and those few things that find the balance just crush everything. My analysis coming out of Consensus last year, which is one of the bigger Web3 conferences, certainly the biggest one in the United States, I think, was that Solana and Layer 0 had completely stolen the show, and they didn't even have a booth. They didn't have a presentation. Totally wasn't on stage. But yet they were the biggest piece of mind share coming out of that conference, out of the whole thing. And it's because there's enough product that you can point things out and demonstrate stuff, and people can go somewhere and do a thing, and there are talented people speaking about it in a way that's helpful. And on the other side of that, when Evan and I were in Prague, where we met Blake, we went out to drinks one night. We were talking to a few engineers who are building stuff in the Polkadot ecosystem.
Yeah, from Polkadot.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Honestly, though, they were really passionate. They seemed like solid guys with strong heads on their shoulders who could articulate some really reasonable reasons why, in a near future, when Web3 scales, they felt Polkadot was truly the only infrastructure that could actually handle what we say mass adoption might look like.
But
will they ever be tested with this?
Like Blake just said, what good does the Rolls-Royce Phantom with the car cover on it sitting in the garage with the door closed gonna do anyone if no one has the key to open the garage door? And that was exactly the point we were trying to get across. And Blake, I'm sure you've run into it 1,000 times. They were so defensive and so upset about it. And it was because it is a truly tough pill to swallow, that you can be sitting there with what you might know to be a killer
your
product.
baby's ugly.
And if I sit there and I'm like,
bag holder bias,
sorry,
ugly
buddy,
baby bias.
Yeah.
nobody gives a shit. No
Ugly
one
baby
cares.
bias. I'm using that from now on. Just ugly baby bias.
Right, okay.
Ugly baby bias. We love it.
So Blake, I'm wondering if to kick things
Yeah.
off, can you give us maybe just, I'm going to put you on the spot off the top of your head, examples. If you can come up with 3 examples, that would be cool, of one of each of the extremes, and then someone who you think is doing a good job. That maybe beyond Solana, anyone that you've encountered where you're like, even at a small scale, super tiny startup kind of a thing.
I'm trying to think of like the not obvious ones that are more interesting.
Sure.
On the like Rolls Royce and on that one, I don't want to be rude to any like teams that I may or may not know. So I genuinely
It looked like you were looking at someone off screen. Like
right.
Are you there with?
I'm like thinking.
Like if you don't want to get in trouble,
they're in the room.
Send me a text with who you want, and then I will name them.
What's that like hand signal that people do?
What we'll do is we'll pull up CoinMarketCap and we'll just start going down one by one. You just blink. You just blink at it.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I will say this. Like, I'm not afraid on I think to me, like, when you ask me, like, what's the team that is doing a bad version of all product, no marketing, I really do think, as much as I hate to say it is Polkadot, even though it is the obvious example. I'll have some more interesting ones for the other two. But, just to like drive that, I don't know how much you guys have talked about it on the show, but
well, wait a second. Did you say all product, no marketing, or all marketing, no product?
All product, no marketing.
All product, no marketing.
Are you aware, my brother in Christ, that they spent like $70 million in the last?
Yeah, but no one saw it.
That's the point.
No one saw it.
That's the point. No one saw it.
Let's get into it. Because
they might as well
have
just
a big
money
marketing.
on
I mean, I don't disagree.
Yeah, if you actually go into like what they spent that marketing on, it was a complete fucking mess.
It was
Wasn't
a
it
waste.
just like 3 like content creators who like nobody saw or something?
Well, and Laura Shin. They got their money with Laura Shin. I'll say that.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, but see, and this is maybe a prime example of, but here's the thing. I think the reason that happens really boils down to what we talked about earlier, which is like the devs who just like to dev, who think their like baby is the best baby, right? The idea of parachain. I was participant in the early parachain auctions.
Yeah, so was I.
Network and a bunch of others. Worst wallet experience of all time. Number 1.
Oh God. Yeah, that early wallet, whatever it was called.
You literally have to be a dev to use it. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who?
No, it was
like
truly awful.
It's
even early MetaMask was better than that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it wasn't even
terrible wallet experience.
It made MetaMask look like bleeding edge tech.
Evan, that's a gwump for every Polkadot wallet.
I meant to gwump them. I dinged them on accident. I meant to gwump them.
Yeah, and so. Basically, and so it's the technology. There's a hubris that, to my understanding of any of the people that I've interacted with, or the people I know who have worked with them, of just they don't like to listen. They're just like, no. Here's why our thing's better. Blah blah blah. It's like, but guys, nobody's using it. Your thing is unusable, right? Like, how's that working? And then on the marketing side, yes, they may be marketing, but they hire the wrong types of marketers. And the marketers, I can tell you, case in point, like one of the biggest expenses was they just splashed their logo everywhere, right? But that's not good marketing, because it's like you're just putting your logo in. It's like, cool, I know the name Polkadot, and then like what else? Like, it's just pure top of funnel, driving to what ecosystem, right? So that's where it's just kind of like they're just using traditional Web2 paid marketing tactics. But let's be clear, like in crypto and blockchain, it's such a niche industry. People are already so resistant to paid ads. Just being frank, like I think KOLs are the paid ads of crypto. And even that's like a whole other topic we could talk about another time, right? That's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you're going to do any type of paid ads, you need to drive people to something interesting, to some kind of activation. And there was nothing there, and it was unusable. And then on top of that, they were spending millions of dollars on like private jet advertisements. I don't know if you guys read about that. They're like, what? And the justification was like, well, we need rich people to like Polkadot. And you're like, what? Like, you don't even like, where's the QR code? How do they even interact with it? Like, it's such lazy back ass, like, it's just so frustrating when I hear about that. And of course it meant that like Solana and all these other ecosystems took off because they were usable. They had community. They would iterate and break. They worked with the people. The foundation supported people. I mean, there's a whole Ethereum Foundation thing happening right now that, maybe that's too deep in the weeds right now. But anyways, so I think that's all product, no marketing. I think all marketing, no product. Ooh. Well, what I can say, what I like,
Illuvium.
you know,
Yeah.
might be. But I think all marketing, no product. I mean, as much as I hate to say it right now, I am a little skeptical of virtuals. I'm a bag holder. I don't think there's no product with virtuals by any means. I think it's good product, but I think the hype is a bit overblown. I think there's too much. Maybe they're not marketing it specifically right now, right? But I'm growing a little more and more skeptical by the day of like how that ecosystem is developing. Are they actually participating in the virtuals ecosystem? Are the people contributing the value in the way that they're supposed to? Versus is this going to end up just being some other big Ponzi? Whereas I think A16Z, right, and what they're doing to Liza. So these are all like AI blockchain projects we're talking about and frameworks. If you don't know, like just look up AI16Z in Twitter or virtuals protocol in Twitter. They're two of the bigger names in these spaces.
Yep.
I'm a bag holder in both, to be, full disclosure. But right now I'm feeling a lot less confident about virtuals because I think they're letting, and this is the pros and cons of decentralization, is I think they're just allowing anyone to kind of like launch these projects on virtuals. And I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad actors, I think, that are coming in and kind of marketing it in ways that are not beneficial to the ecosystem and the product that they're trying to build. And to my understanding, a lot of the projects that are using virtuals aren't actually using the virtuals like framework and the technology. So then it's just kind of like, so am I getting rug pulled here? Like, it just seems like the future, right? But then everyone's just on Twitter. Like, so it's just more Twitter bots that are just gonna like, but they're just a bit smarter, right? So that's where I get a bit skeptical. Mm-hmm. And then in the middle, I would give a shout out actually to Asset Dash. So Matthias, he's one of, he's a friend, but also he is the co-founder of Asset Dash. Really respect what he's doing. I've been at multiple conferences with him. Been incredible to see him grow his team and the product. The TLDR is Asset Dash. Check them out.
I'm not familiar with
have
it.
They have a mobile
what's
app.
the best URL?
I don't know their URL. I just know.
What's the gist of the project?
Yeah, so basically they're a portfolio tracker. They started in Solana. I think they also do EVM compatibility, but he's been deep in the weeds since the first time I met Matthias was Crypto Bahamas in 22, hosted by FTX in the Bahamas.
No way.
That's how I cut my teeth.
One of their homes that they purchased with the commingling of customers' funds into their own private investments.
Basically. No, it was actually at a casino. It was literally the whole thing was at a casino.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Of course. Perfect analogy, right? And that was the one where like Tom Brady, Bill Clinton, and like everyone should. This was like peak FTX.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I met Matthias. Is crazy. But the reason I'm really bullish on Asset Dash is Matthias is exactly the type of founder you need. Like, he is a true degen. He's deep in the space. He has been in Solana since day one. And he has been building and shipping with the community ever since. And it's been really cool to kind of hear his product feedback, or like when people give him feedback, like even I'll be at a conference and I'll be like, dude, like, what the fuck? And he'll be like, no, that's so amazing. Thank you. And he'll like take the feedback and he'll iterate it on the next day. Right. And then on the marketing side, they do a lot of co-promotion and they do a lot of co-promotion with the communities and that's why Solana is so powerful, right? Because if you're deep in Solana and you love Solana, there's almost indefinitely either an NFT community or a meme coin or something that you're kind of affiliated with. I love Solana monkeys and Klanos. Those are my kind of two pillars within Solana, and I'm a bag holder in those and love those communities and hang out with them a lot. But he just understands it. He gets the vibes. He iterates on the product. The Jupe airdrop just happened, so he actually has like an airdrop tracker. So the more wallets you connect, you can just instantly see like.
I keep forgetting to claim my airdrop. Thank you. I got to do that. I'm ready.
I got 50.
Yeah. And there you go. So that's that. Oh, and then actually I would shout out Jupiter as well. I think Jupiter is incredible in terms of how they do it, right? Because the product is stellar. They're lucky, and well, I do think they're a bit lucky in that they occupy a really sweet spot in crypto. Is like they're effectively like the Uniswap of Solana, but better because they're like one layer. They're actually a DEX aggregator, so they get to sit on top of all the other exchanges, and they're the only one that does it. Like no one can really compete. But Meow and the whole Jupe team, we had OXOju on our own live stream a couple months ago. They know how to build community. They know how to lean into the memes. They actually respond. Like that's what excellent, like building a good product, iterating on it, listening to your community, understanding the vibes, participating, bringing in the people that are going to be your customers and building content off of that, and then partnering with other communities. Like, so when I talk about community content partnerships, those two projects, in my opinion, are like ones that really do that well, and understand that's how it should be done in crypto. And I think the results speak for themselves. Yeah.
I feel like
that was a very long answer to that.
No, it was great.
No, it was great.
Yeah.
I got to give 1 point to Jupiter for an airdrop, and I got to give 1 point to me. I can't remember what it was, but I said something awesome. So
Did you see? Yeah, Blake, the fun fact, the game is super rigged and Evan's the one who controls the points. So
yeah, but he never lets himself win. So
I haven't won yet, but it's not because I'm not a great player.
I've always wanted to be on whose line is it anyway, so this feels I'm very happy. This is great. Yeah.
I'll dig you for that. Also, there you go.
Let's go.
Blake, one of the things I wanted to ask you, because since you have an office and you're doing work in Seoul, one of the things I haven't been able to get a lot of like info from, because I don't know a lot of people other than yourself, who's been able to experience the crypto culture in Korea. And the crypto culture in Korea is crazy from what I've heard and read about and done my own research on. And I'd love to get your take on how the crypto culture in Korea is different from the crypto culture in the US. We have a very international audience, so there are going to be some people here who are like, oh, I know all about that. But I myself and a lot of people don't, because it's largely a Western audience.
Yes. So fun fact, we actually wrote an entire report about it, which I'll send to you guys in the chat I have with you guys.
How convenient. A perfect plug, and I had no idea.
Yeah. I'll send it after or whatever, but it is very different is what I will say. Here we go. I just sent to the group chat with you guys, but yeah, Korea is a very unique market. I think there's a couple, but let me figure out what are the best stats. So number one, crazy amount of adoption in Korea. I don't remember the exact stat, but it's almost like, I want to say 40% of the population is involved in some way. Like they're buying tokens. It makes sense. Korea is very tech friendly. They're very forward. And also on the economic side, I think everyone's just trying to figure out like, how do I get ahead? How do I pay my bills? And speculating in crypto is a big thing. In terms of the like how they're interacting, it's quite interesting. Centralized exchanges, frankly, dominate the market. DeFi still exists, of course, but it's not. It's a bit harder to get involved in, basically, because in Korea, the crypto is highly regulated. And so most people, the KYC procedures and the banking stuff is very strict. So most of the trading happens through centralized exchanges. I want to say like 80%, 60 to 80% of it goes through there. And it's Upbit and BitHub, I think, are the two. And Upbit like controls almost like they almost have a monopoly. It's crazy.
Overwhelming majority. Yeah.
Overwhelming majority.
Yeah.
And then what's really funny too is like the average age is quite high. So it's like there's a lot of like middle-aged men who are like investing in and buying and trading crypto. You can be in a taxi and like my taxi driver will be like doing the whole like, he's driving and then when he's at a stoplight, he'll be like checking his portfolio. I'm like, oh, he likes ETH. Okay, that's cool. Like,
nice. He's got the 1 minute chart up on Dex Screener while driving.
Literally,
trading shitters on the highway.
Taking money from each ride and throwing it into ETH.
So they do,
10x long.
They love Ripple, obviously. So XRP Army is very strong out here. I love XRP, like great team. I love what they're doing for regulation and for innovation in the space. And yeah, but then there's also a vibrant builders community. So like literally we're hosting a community event with Mantle next 2 weeks from now at a place called Nance. So Nance is one of the OG builder communities here in Seoul. If you are a builder or you're interested in building in crypto in Korea and Seoul, definitely check it out. I think it's Nonce Blocks, or just look up like Nonce Crypto Seoul and it should pop up.
NONCE, right?
Yeah, like a nonce in the crypto lingo. But yeah, it's popping out here. There's a vibrant community. Korea Blockchain Week is pretty big. I actually just was talking to one of our I don't know if I can. Yeah.
You need me to beep it out?
No. Well, I was talking to one of the blockchains we talked about earlier, and yeah, they are going to do a very big activation in Korea, basically, because I think people are recognizing that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm from the U.S. as well, but there's a giant market out here in Asia, and Korea's a popping market. The amount of like transaction volume is insane if you can like kind of crack the market. And I think like getting into Asia in general is an important thing. But I would caveat and say, like, we've talked to clients and teams that are like, we want to go to Asia, and I'm like, cool, but like where? Because it's like saying we want to go to Europe, and it's like, okay, but France and Germany speak two entirely different languages and have two very different cultures. Like, which one? So I think it's like you got to be specific. And so I think like Korea is a great launch pad. I'm obviously biased. I'm Korean American. We have a big team here, and there's thoughts. Japan is interesting. Japan is dominated by a lot of kind of the more corporates. So a lot of the crypto and blockchain innovation is dominated by the usual suspects. So like Sanrio, they're the ones behind Hello Kitty and all these others. Who's Square Enix, right, behind Final Fantasy and all those. So it's a lot of gaming studios. It's a lot of entertainment IP, but they are all actively. Yeah, Sony, of course, with Sonium, right? So it's very like corporate driven in Japan, which makes sense. And then China is a whole other thing because technically it's illegal, but I think they're using Hong Kong as their kind of like sandbox to play with.
Yep.
And then Southeast Asia is a whole other ball game. But yeah, there's a lot there. So it's a fun place. Definitely check it out.
Totally.
I'd love to
appreciate the insight.
Yeah.
I'd love to know a little more, since you mentioned, you work with Ripple. Ripple's big in Korea. XRP is probably the most divisive cryptocurrency, I will say, in the mainstream. And people love it. They hate it. They've all got their reasons for it. I am curious what you love about working with them and just what your take is on Ripple, the company. If you have any thoughts on XRP, our audience, I'm sure, would love to hear it.
Yeah, so the TLDR is I am very bullish on XRP for many reasons. So number one, we work with Ripple X, so they're the accelerator that kind of is always trying to foster the ecosystem and grow companies within the Ripple space. There's XRP, the token, and then there's XRPL, which is their EVM sidechain. So really what it means is like Ripple launched a new chain that is compatible with all the Ethereum stuff, which makes a lot easier for developers to kind of build on top of Ripple. And so that is exciting to me. I've worked with those teams. I think really the reason I'm bullish on Ripple is there's a lot of reasons, but number one, I think it's because they've been around so long. They have so much funding and they have so much adoption. When it comes to the future of finance, right? I'm not some ETH maxi or Sol maxi. I'm not a maxi really at all. I really think there's more than enough opportunity here for a lot of players to win. And I think what XRP and Ripple are doing is I kind of view them as, when it comes to trad finance and big banks and institutions and moving money around, they are certainly one of the biggest players in the space because, Brad and what he's been doing with talking to Trump, right? They've been the flag holder really for the whole industry in terms of fighting for the proper regulations. And they have gotten it passed. It works, right? And so I think like when institutions, when hedge funds, when banks, they're trying to figure out who do we want to work with, Ripple is the obvious answer because they already won the lawsuit, right? They are continuing to pilot, new innovation. They just launched Ripple.
Should have been over ages ago.
Exactly, right? And thank God that's over now, knock on wood. But I think we're entering a new golden age, and Ripple stands to benefit immensely from it.
Okay, but what about Goldman Sachs? What about JP Morgan? What about Deutsche Bank? I feel like all the major, I don't see a lot of proof in the pudding in terms of people who are actually using Ripple or Ripple's ledger. What I hear from people who've tried to use the ledger is that it's not as robust as Ethereum. They don't like that it isn't as decentralized, or therefore they see it as less secure. And people like FedEx, people like JP Morgan, people like Chase, you know, they BlackRock, they don't care that they're going to have to pay the gas. They like that it's secure. They've already built there. And I don't see them building on Ripple in a big way. Who am I missing?
Well, right now, I think they announced at the end of last year that in Japan, pretty much all the banks are going to start adopting or leveraging Ripple in some way.
So my understanding was that was one guy said that, and then it wasn't like a plan, but that it was like a thing he hoped for.
No, well, my understanding was it was the head of their APAC, because I actually met her here in Korea last September, and then she was the one. I thought she also was talking about it. So maybe I'm crazy too, right?
Well,
but,
no, I mean, there's a lot. There's just so much. That's the thing, is I'm always trying to separate the information that is quality from the misinformation. And what I perceive is that Ripple is so well funded as a company, and they're so well positioned that they don't have to do a lot of marketing, because a lot of people will do it. Retail people will do it for them.
Just come to them.
Well, I mean, if you put them in a category too with those larger kind of institutions, for lack of a better word, think about like Definity, think about Cardano, think about Ripple, the company, right? All of them have a couple things in common. And I'm not talking about, you know, crossover with the cryptocurrency or whatever, but just like as an entity, you've got a company that basically has almost no danger of going out of business, and the freedom to keep funding pushing so that they can do what they want. And Definity is just a think tank. It's just a research facility with constant funding through the ICP cryptocurrency. And Ripple, to me, seems like, I say all the time that I have tremendous respect for them as a company because of the carrying the rest of us on their back through this entire lawsuit that they did for years. I think we could count on one hand, maybe, the number of companies or foundations that would have been able to weather a storm like that, for how much money they had to spend to put up that legal defense and all this stuff, right? Like, not many could have done that, regardless of utility of the token and adoption, blah, 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 whatever. They're huge. So in that sense, that's kind of one of the things that trips me up a little bit, is like, because they're so big and because the company is so big, it kind of gives me the vibe that maybe there's more, or there's less like actual adoption of the cryptocurrency itself, because it's so good as a fundraising mechanism for the company, which has its own, because like Ripple is undoubtedly in talks with all these different people. And we just saw Bank of America the other day was talking about how many things they already do on chain, and how obviously that's the next payment settler, you know, which makes you think of companies like Ripple and companies like Stellar and companies like Cardano and things like this. But you know, does it, how bullish does it make you on the cryptocurrency necessarily, unless it's just like a hype measure of how excited we all are about whatever the company's getting up to, you know?
Well, I mean, listen, I'll say it like this, is I do not, I don't know if I should, but I will, which is, I don't personally really hold any XRP.
I don't either, for the record.
I hold Solana, I hold Ethereum, I hold Bitcoin, and I have a small like bag of like other miscellaneous tokens that I play around with. That being said, like, as someone who's worked with that team, that's seen the inner workings, like, they're legit. They're serious people. I've been in their offices. I met those people. I don't think they really need much adoption on the XRPL ledger, honestly. It's not retail adoption they're really going after. All it takes is a couple governments, a couple institutions, a couple banks that actually start leveraging XRPL ledger, and that's it. Like, then I think
my concern from an institutional adoption, I'm sure there's some folks out there who, you know, would. I mean, there's a large market here with a lot of dollar signs in them that they could potentially get, but it's a heavily regulated space. Like, international money transfers have to go through SWIFT from a regulatory standpoint. So, you know, you need like regulatory change for that to happen. Now, maybe there are some examples where they could do certain things for certain companies and organizations and get business here and there and do that from an institution standpoint. But I see regulatory frameworks needing to change. There is a president currently who for the next 4 years is looking to deregulate a bunch of stuff. So could that open up the door? Potentially. But as of right now, it's a very strict regulatory framework. And it would be an interesting thing to deregulate Swift, because that is a tool used by the American empire as a means of enforcement. And so it's not necessarily something they're going to give up unless they can get a new tool to do that. And then how can you use Ripple in the same way? That's something I haven't explored, but it just brings up an interesting new hurdle for adoption for Ripple with institutions.
All I'll say is this: when we like the Ripple X companies we're working with, the last scope we worked with them on, the companies that they incubated or accelerating that we are helping grow, out of the 4 or 3 actually, 2 of them are focused on tokenized RWAs. In India, in Europe, and then there's a gaming one, which is quite interesting. They're actually, I'll give them a shout out, Gen 3 or Zerpmon Games. They're the largest game on the XRPL ledger. But what's really cool, and Ripple told us this, and the team told us this, which is what they wanted help with is expanding to other ecosystems. Because the cool thing about XRPL is that it's actually beneficial for them. Their kind of like game plan is we want to go and expand to other ecosystems, and we can integrate Base, Solana, or maybe not Solana because code, but like any EVM ecosystem.
Because
EVM, right?
Yeah,
Solidity, right?
Great.
Yeah.
I just
so any EVM ecosystem, code, but any EVM ecosystem they can integrate with and use their blockchain, and then it'll just settle on the back end with XRPL. So it's almost like a vampire attack of expanding to other blockchains. So that's something interesting. That's all I'll say.
Cool.
And with that, by the way, guys, unfortunately, I have a call that's lined up that got scheduled right after this. So
I'm got to give you a gwump for it. Don't fret. Listen. Do you have a second to give us a final thought, or want to give a final shout out? Ask for our audience. Take it away.
Yes. I think check us out if you're ever interested in crypto marketing and trying to
all
understand.
All of Blake's links will be in the Discord, by the way. Just so
go check us out. Myosin on Myosin XYZ, my personal Twitter. I need to yap more. That's kind of a resolution this year, is I just need to I have a lot of thoughts. I mean, you can tell, right? I just, for some reason, and I'm super active on Instagram on my personal private, but I'm a little more shy on Twitter for some reason. So I just need to break out of that. But if you follow us on our company or DAO Twitter, Myosin, we do a weekly live stream, and it's a podcast called Chain Reactions, where we actually bring on founders and CMOs and marketing leaders from some really great projects just to talk about what they're up to. So give us a listen there, and if you like us, follow us on Spotify. Mint an episode on pods.media.
The list goes
on. Yeah, so you can actually get
that'd
it
be
on
cool.
Chain.
What's is pods dot? What did you say? Pods.media.
Pods.media. So you can actually mint all of our episodes on Base.
What?
Yeah, they're really cool.
Time for us to get cool, kids.
Get cool, kids.
So cool. I did not know about that either. Well,
Okay.
Great.
Well,
fun.
hell yeah,
we're
checking it out.
It's all open edition mint, so it's it costs you nothing too.
Yeah.
A cent or a couple cents. Yeah.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, Blake, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us.
Nice meeting you, Blake.
And we'll catch you in Denver, if not sooner. Okay, brother?
We'll see you in Denver, and I'll see you online. Thank you so much, all, and have a great day. Have a great night.
Absolutely. Take care.
See you, man.
Ciao, ciao.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna give Blake a couple points on the way out the door, just because you got to do a brother a favor like that. And I want to say at this point in time, if you're in the audience, you've never seen us before, or if you're coming back, welcome back. This is Rise Up After Dark, the show where we let our hair down, we interview expert guests, and give our take on your altcoin picks. Ask us your crypto questions. You're in the right place to learn about cryptocurrency, and the best place to learn is not just here on TikTok or on YouTube or on Twitter or on Facebook, but is the Rise Up Discord server. It's totally free. We've got a great global community there. The only thing missing is you. It's an awesome place to get a second opinion, ask a question. And I do want to say, if you join the Discord or you follow us here tonight, and we would love it if you did, please be on the lookout for duplicates and imitates, because there are lots of impersonators on the internet.
Blake's in the back room.
Surprise.
You knocking at my door, Blake? Oh my God.
Hey, guys. I
He's
misread my
back.
calendar. I didn't realize this was 2 hours.
Womp.
I thought this
Womp.
was 1 hour.
I'm gonna have to gwump him and take away a point. Okay, now what you got to do too? You got to come back to TikTok. I'm so glad you're back because I wanted to ask you about like World Liberty Financial. What you think about like the Trump play? Okay. Go ahead.
Okay,
Let me
sorry,
finish this
I did
commercial.
not-
You find me on
please.
TikTok. I'm
Yes,
going to finish
I'm
this
back, I'm
commercial
back.
to say, if you want more of us, if you want to ask a question about who was that guest? Where was he from? We're going to have all the links in Discord, as well as our links to our other socials. We're on all the places you already go. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. As I said, the only thing missing is so. Welcome back, Blake. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you for
Jess.
hanging out. Don't
Wait,
worry.
hold on. I need to mute on this one.
I got it. I got your mute, but you turn the microphone
in
on
20
there.
seconds, they would just be like, "Wow, why did Blake turn into a donut?
Oh yeah, I need to turn on my video.
What happened here?"
There we go.
So since I mentioned it, I don't know where you guys want to take it, but that was going to be my next question is like, what do you think
Let's
about
do World Liberty Financial?
Trump's entry into DeFi, World Liberty Financial? Is it all fluff? All marketing, no product, all substance, no hype. He's got the Trump coin too. I mean, what do you think about that?
Melania.
That's wild.
Honestly, it's hard to say. I really don't know enough about the project, but my hunch is that yes, it will be more marketing than product. But it's just kind of a weird. I'm still wrapping my head around it because obviously.
Let me give you a TLDR really quick then, because what we have heard, what he said publicly, it is a fork of an Aave fork called Doe Finance. He's brought a lot of crypto native people in to work on it and help. And they've said that you'll be able to lend and borrow things there. It seems like it'll be like an Aave compound, like a generic kind of DeFi play.
Yep.
And their on-chain activity has been to accumulate as much ETH as possible. I think they got 55 million in ETH now, Al?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they've got
it's over 200 million.
Oh, gee. So they have a lot. They have a lot. They are a top 100 holder of Aave tokens. They hold Ethena tokens. They hold some wrapped ETH, some wrapped Bitcoin, Tron.
Does World Liberty Financial have its own coin?
Well, Justin,
it does, right?
Justin's son's like how much did he invest? Like 70 million or something? And then
I suspect he probably bought some World Liberty tokens. He did make a tweet at Donald Trump, and it said, "@real Donald Trump is the reason for all my success in crypto." Which honestly, can we just laugh? I wish I had a laugh sound on my board because I don't. But like,
when I saw that tweet, I went to the comments specifically to flame Justin's son, and one of my friends was in there already just saying, and the top comment was just "bro's doing tricks on it," and I was like, so I think mine was just "damn, Justin, come up for air."
But for all sense of speculation, we don't know what the protocol is gonna do, except that it probably will do Aave-like things, and they seem to really be competing or hedging to compete in ETH and ETH governance. Like to have that many Aave tokens and to have that many Athena tokens, that's interesting to me, and makes them a significant player in like the influence of other DeFi protocols that have a lot of power right now.
But if they participated in governance, I would be blown away. I don't think any one of them even knows what that means. Like,
but if they have enough
people
who are crypto native, they can just take their direction.
Sure. Yes, it's a big if though, and it's still like it definitely bears concern because, like I said, I'm concerned about a lot of it. My hot take on it was that that meme coin is nowhere like launching that, kicking off a circle jerk on Twitter, and then like I think that's way worse for the industry than most people really realize. And I'm glad that most of crypto Twitter seems to have woken up to that like right off the bat and been like, wait a second, especially after the Melania one came out.
Yeah, they had to have a woman do it first. Our misogyny had to kick in before we started to think it was a bad idea.
Yeah, classic. But I just like the fact that the big like insiders were apparently figuring out for the first time during that meme coin launch
that blockchain's public.
That we can all see the blockchain.
Like we can all see their insider trading.
Yeah, he was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, bro.
Yeah, did you see that guy, Blake, Ryan Fournier, who just got into Twitter and launched a meme token? And what he said, he rugged his community. And what he
had
said,
the most legendary. He had the most legendary quote. What did he say?
Alex, what did he say? I forgot.
The price started dropping significantly.
He said,
"So I sold. I don't know who wouldn't do that. And honestly, I'm like, you know what? That's like the most pure human reaction I've ever heard. Yeah, that's great.
I can't
like,
pay him for that.
No, man.
Who wouldn't do that?
Who wouldn't do that?
Yeah. Yeah, but no, so Daniel's comment in the TikTok chat over here was that, think it's bullish, bought ETH. To be clear, two very different events, right? Like launch a thing on Solana, suck the liquidity out of everything, capitalize on that moment to put $100 million back into all the stuff that you just liquidity sucked. Stacking $100 million of Ether in a very short amount of time, right after you pumped legendary volume into Solana, so big that you broke Phantom and Coinbase, and honestly, Jupiter is still experiencing some Web2 infra problems. I mean, listen, I've ranted about this before. I won't derail the whole conversation, but for anyone who thinks that Solana broke, I encourage you to check the chain.
No. Yeah.
They did not.
That's the most frustrating thing about that whole.
I know.
Is like people just love to hate on Solana. Like it breaks. But like going back to just a hot take, or not even. I don't even think it's that hot a take. But I think really like the analogy I love to draw is a lot. Clearly, I like to use analogies because I think they're effective, storytelling tool. Is I very much view Ethereum as like the Android of blockchains, and I view Solana as the Apple of blockchains.
Yes,
I think that works for a lot of reasons, which is like sometimes like it's like in certain regards, like Solana like takes up like so much market share, but like globally and on a large scale, like Android still wins the day. So all this to say is like I think Ethereum still has so much going for it with all its layer 2s. Whole other conversation around the foundation stuff. Totally. But as a chain and as usage and with all these L2s, like I think Ethereum will still be the general predominant ecosystem for most players. However, Solana, because it's more centralized, because the foundation is top to bottom, like organized, and they get their shit done. And if you ever go to like Breakpoint, it's so well done. It's polished. It's cohesive. It's a single brand. Like when you get Solana, you buy into the whole ecosystem.
They can tell a story.
Yeah, they can tell a story. Ethereum, it's like I've been to ETH Lisbon, Denver, CC, and they're all completely different vibes. I get it. We're decentralized, but it's confusing, right? Because then you got like 50 billion side events. It's like, what's going on, right? So I don't know. Like Solana is sexy. It's centralized. It's gonna be. Maybe it'll flip ETH one day. I have bets on both, but we'll see.
Me too.
I don't know. It's yeah. Oh, and then all this to say is what Solana has done that Ethereum hasn't done is like they just move quick and break things, but they've broken enough things and they keep fixing them, and it gets better and it gets better, and now
it gets
really
better at a faster pace.
Yeah.
Than Ethereum does. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Whereas Ethereum has so many like stakeholders that you can't like everyone's like to do anything. But fair enough, because what they value is the security and the stability. So like Ethereum has never quote unquote broken. So there's that, but it's also hell expensive and slow, and we don't have good marketing. So
it's a different culture completely that lends to what keeps it going. I was talking to Daniel about this the other day, and if you take the people who are contributing in the biggest way to the overall TVL on ETH, right? Like you take the Golem Foundation and Octant, right? Like these are groups that have hundreds of millions of dollars of Ether staked. Like the amount that it would take for a group like that to move that money somewhere else is like by Web3 standards, from what we've seen so far in the industry, unfathomable. We've never seen anything big enough like that yet. I have sat there and tried to imagine like what would it take, because there's more TVL on Ethereum. We say this all the time than every other blockchain put together. And yet Solana is processing more on-chain volume than ETH on a daily basis.
Yeah,
it's first mover advantage. It's just they're locked in.
Guys, but none of that matters because as we all know and heard and know is true from Cardano, Lord and Savior Charles Hoskinson, Ethereum wishes they had what Cardano has.
Oh my God.
Ethereum wishes they had what we had. Meanwhile,
Charles.
Poor Charles. As
I
he
need
gets
the
in his
meme of like,
helicopter and flies away.
yeah, what we have is Charles flying away in a helicopter.
Yeah.
I
I am curious.
can't believe I fell for that in the last cycle. Yeah.
You were one of those? Oh,
I was
man.
one of those. I saw the YouTube videos.
No,
I'm like,
listen.
wow, he seems like a very sure guy. Yeah.
I'm
Game
absolutely
over.
not going to
GG.
let Blake sit there by himself. I'm right there with you, dude. Like,
Yeah, dude.
And still to this day, I am a huge fan of the mission statement. I just wish that we could define a culture and tell the story, and we're refusing to do the latter two. And I don't
Yeah,
know
make
why.
it simple.
I've only ever met one person in my life who's a Cardano maxi, and it turned out to be my barber. But hey, he made a lot of money on Sneck. So, I was like, good for you, dude.
Good for him.
Anyway,
Yeah.
let me shill my bag to you.
This is one of those things. Like you talk about, the different ways that a cryptocurrency can pump. Like if we look at ADA, for example, you have your proximity pump. The rest of the market goes. It's very possible. It also takes less for something like ADA to get jacked up. Like if Charles came out and finally was just, if Charles posted the locked in meme, something would happen. Like regardless of whether or not it meant anything. But which is one of the issues and benefits of having a central figure like that guy there who is so public facing, but I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things, like thing works and the mission statement is good. Like, let's put it through the ringer, but it's never been battle tested. Like pretty much, I mean, nothing's been.
They tried to and failed with what was that? It was that DeFi protocol. What was it? You remember the name?
Listen,
Talking about Cardano? Sunday swap?
Sunday.
Don't traumatize me again, man. We can't go back
I remember
there.
that.
No,
Alex,
Sorry.
Alex and I both are traumatized by Sunday swap. Really quick, I want to answer a very quick rapid fire question from the audience. Good question. Can you explain how the 24-hour volume of a project might be higher than its actual market cap? This confuses me. The simple short answer, and somebody correct me or gwump me if I get it wrong, but is your volume is not just buys but sells, and it's all the activity. If you're maybe a hotly traded crypto, like for example, the Trump coin or some other meme coin might be traded up and down a lot because it's very volatile. It might have a small market cap, but in the last 24 hours, people have bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold and bought and sold a lot of it. Bought and sold gets mileage in both directions. Market cap is a measure of right now, what are all the tokens worth? So I hope that helps.
Yeah, but also just remember that market cap, like by itself, is one of those numbers that can, leave an impression upon people, but it's also not quite as like end all be all as most people make it out to be. And a lot of that number is theoretical as well. Like just
helpful in context.
To calculate market cap, right? It's just the amount of tokens in circulation times the value of the tokens, right?
That's right.
Yes,
That's
It's
right.
very different. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you drinking a different healthy drink, or is that your matcha again?
So it's the same. I'm weird. So I have the matcha tea. I drank all the tea from it, and now I'm mixing it with sparkling water. So now it's a sparkling matcha.
Now you're just fancy. That's not weird. I'll give you a point for that. That's fancy.
Let's go.
Okay. One of the other questions I wanted to ask that we kind of touched on is about Ethereum. Ethereum has had sort of an identity crisis. They've Daniel was talking to our friend in the audience about, they've just got this new kind of marketing thing. They've kind of separated their brand identities. What do you think is going on over there? And if you were driving the car at the Ethereum Foundation, what's the story you'd tell?
Yeah, so I think Ethereum's an interesting case, and I've kind of seen it from both sides, which is I think like there's a lot of drama over like Ethereum Foundation, because as we just talked about, right? Like Solana Foundation, a big part of their success was obviously the community and all these things, but also the foundation level. Solana Foundation does a really good job of kind of supporting the ecosystem, telling a cohesive story, rallying people around specific things. The breakpoints are always really well put together and kind of rallies the ecosystem in a way that Ethereum, because they're so decentralized, they're hosting all these events all over the world, and that's great, but it's a little scattered and not cohesive. And so pros and cons. I think with Ethereum, as and right, the context for this is, and I'm ETH was my biggest bag holding up until just a week ago, right? It has been disappointing in terms of the price action. And just the overall ecosystem, right? We're about 2 years later. We haven't really seen any killer apps come about. Like Uniswap, great. And that's it. Like what else what else have we really built in these past couple of years?
Remind me to come
but I
back
think-
to that, Blake, because I wanted to ask you
Yeah.
about some of the killer app idea on ETH specifically.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into that. But I think the big thing here is what Ethereum does have going for it, right? And I think what they need to figure out is the L2s are great, right? All these L2s are building on top of it. So I think really what needs to, and I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and I think some people had some good ideas, which is really like, why isn't there some kind of like L2 alliance or some other type of, maybe whether it's a second foundation, or I don't know what the solution is, right? But there needs to be a way for the L2s to actually help promote Ethereum more effectively together. Because let's be clear, they're all built on top of EVM, right? And it is a lot of stakeholders and it is complicated for sure. I think that's the only way they could win, because that was all, if that was going to be the scaling solution, and that is the roadmap right now still, we need to leverage that. Those are the best. They're the ones building the interesting applications theoretically. I don't know, that's a whole other conversation, which we get into, but like we have Farcaster on base. We have some gaming chains, right, that are EVM compatible. Like, why Ethereum Foundation needs to be figuring out, number one, how to promote and bring those people more closely aligned, I guess, with the Ethereum ecosystem in general. And then, honestly speaking, I think they need to rework some of the economics, just so there is more value accrual to Ethereum itself as a token and as a ecosystem. So I think those are like, there's a lot of changes that need to be made. I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have talked about, but now there's the co-founder of Lido is trying to set up a second foundation, which I think is actually quite bullish.
We haven't talked about it on the show though.
Not yet.
Yeah, I only just saw news about it yesterday or earlier today,
so,
whenever it was.
So that's kind of big news, and I'm very curious to see what comes of that, or if it's just like how real it will become. But I think people are feeling something needs to change, right? Even Vitalik himself, like he got him a lady, and now he's like miladying all over the place. Right?
Yeah, he's miladying all over the place, and he's getting heated. Honestly, truly.
Yeah. So... I think he's starting to realize like people need Ethereum is too complacent, because like we said, if it's the Android, if it's the first mover, it's so easy to just become complacent and just kind of assume it's just going to be good forever. But Solana is shipping, they're building, they're iterating. There are all these like Sui, one might say could become the next Solana if they do it right. I don't know. But in terms of technology and speed and whatnot, there's a lot of people trying to build alternatives. And they're not just L2s, they are L1s. So if Ethereum doesn't get their shit together, yes, they have still the most TVL, but it's going to just slowly get eaten away. And if they don't change something, it might be faster and faster. And the next thing you know, they're not the market leader anymore.
See, that's the thing. That's how like, I hate it when we just say like, what's going to come along and kill ETH? Nothing. But things are just going to keep bleeding it.
It's bleeding
over the next how many years until we're not talking about who's going to kill ETH. We're just going to be like, wait a second. ETH's TVL is like 40 billion lower than, and then it's just going to, it's going to be that MySpace didn't close down one day. Just other better stuff just kept stealing more and more users. And Blake, I mentioned
that's by 1,000 cuts, right?
Exactly.
1,000 picks.
Exactly. I
cuts.
brought up the killer app thing because the other day I was one of the things that I like to do when I'm pro tip stalking for like hidden gems and up and coming projects, things that haven't gotten a ton of attention, is go on Twitter, find like big, pages that for alpha or that talk about stuff or have their fingers like A16Z, like these big things, and just scroll through their following list and see who they're looking at. And the other day I was just going through like mutual follows between big DeFi protocols on ETH. And I found, like, just for example, I'll share one. I found several, but this just as an example. And I haven't done like a deep dive. I don't know anything about it. Blake, if you know anything about these guys, please feel free to hop in. But I bring it up for a very specific reason. So I was
Lens.
not. Lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lens is great. Well, I have some thoughts on Lens, actually. We can. Yeah.
Okay. I would love to hear, because this was one that I had heard the name, but I am not like overly familiar, and obviously huge following, big page, stuff going on. And the first thing that I thought was like, it's weird to me that for someone who is, I wouldn't say I'm the most tapped in, but I'm pretty freaking tapped in. Just to be like mostly unfamiliar with something this big, I was like, there's a storytelling disconnection here. So yeah,
Alex,
I would love to hear just yes.
I'm gonna rug Blake's explanation to give me a ding and you a gwump because
we haven't even heard the reason that you're gonna get.
You
the
don't
ding.
even need the reason.
I don't think this is.
The rules are made up. The points don't matter.
This is rigged. This is
another point. Damn it.
It's all rigged.
Damn it.
So let me tell you what's going on with Lens. This is how I know, because Alex, we've talked about Lens before. It's in the drawer of companies that you've forgotten about. When
Yes,
I was
exactly.
playing Crypto the game, I told you about Lens because a lot of our challenges were on Lens. It's a Twitter clone that's like Farcaster. Lens is like Farcaster, and they have an app that is like Warpcast. That's like their whole play. They are a competitor with Farcaster. They're trying to be a decentralized social media company. I got an airdrop for playing Crypto the game, and I talked about it on the show of some of their tokens. So touch grass.
Everything Evan
I like
said.
it.
Touch grass. Nice.
I have some thoughts on Lens. So number
Please.
one, they do have. I'm not a huge crypto merch guy. Their team is very. So number one, Lens is actually built by the Aave team, which is now called Avara. So they're part of Aave and all that.
I did not know that.
That is how I
Yeah.
found it. Yeah.
So which to me from the get-go was kind of weird. I was like, why the fuck is a DeFi protocol building a social network? But I don't know. And that's kind of why I think as they've grown, like Aave is just like steady state. They're still one of the biggest players. They're continuing to grow. Aave is doing just fine.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Lens is kind of the next thing they're trying to figure out. I will say they have fire merch. I've had this hat since NFT NYC 22. And it's just aged beautifully. People
For the
love
record, we were both at that conference and didn't
looks
know each
great
other at that point.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. I also picked up some socks at ECC. Some like fun.
They love
those
giving
are
out
cool.
socks.
Yeah.
You know, like I like these kind of like these retro gym sock things. Anyways, enough showing of the merch. So everything Evan said, which is they're basically trying to become like a decentralized social protocol. I was very skeptical of them for quite a while because I think it's kind of weird that because their whole ethos is like everything should be on chain, or it used to be at least. I think this may have changed, but it was kind of like, well, why would I? Because think about it this way: is like I don't use Facebook anymore, although we all use Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, separate story, but or Meta as we call it. But fuck that, I'm still gonna call it Facebook.
Yep.
I don't really use Facebook. However, every now and then I'll pop on and I get these horrendous like, hey, remember this post you did like 10 years ago?
No,
right?
I didn't. I forgot it on purpose.
Yeah, but that's my point is like maybe not everything needs to live on the blockchain forever, right? And so that's kind of always been my skepticism with Lens is does everything need to be on chain? And I think most people who are practical would say no, like not like only the really important things should stay on chain. Other stuff should be ephemeral, right? Let it die, let it disappear. Like not everything needs to be recorded forever. Now that being said, in terms of like what they've been up to and their growth story, frankly speaking, I think not that many people have been using it. They were pre-Farcaster. I would actually say Farcaster was the like Lens.
Yeah, it was like a dark horse.
But on
Yeah.
base. Yeah. And they did really well because like ETH, EVM and Friendtech and all that base. But they have an app called Orb. I don't know. Honestly speaking, like I don't really ever use the Lens social ecosystem. Even though
I thought
keep
the
telling
UX
myself
was
I have to.
bad. And I feel like the people are like maxis and they want folks to love it. They're very welcoming, but I remember now that you say it, they've been around for a while. And I just have never felt it was a compelling use. I love that they sponsored Crypto the Game, bullish on that. I was going to give them a try. And, me and everyone at Uniswap and wherever else they worked in crypto was using their app for a whole day. And I'm pretty sure none of us use it now. So
it's just, you know what it is? It's what is it? The switching costs, right? It's like and I've been in like a on-chain media summit and people from Lens were there and people were kind of yelling at them, honestly, which is like, if you're going to get us to, it's the cold start problem too, right? Like my entire network and I built everything on Twitter or X or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, like yeah, it's a cool idea that we would all move to Lens and build our social graph there, and we can own that social graph and port it to multiple apps. But what fucking apps are there, right? So I think like, and this is something I've talked to the Lens team about actually, like a year ago after ETH Denver, because I met with some of those folks, and I don't know. I don't think it doesn't seem to be happening. The main focus over the last year was they just migrated from Polygon to ZK Sync, which, frankly speaking, I think is actually bearish because I don't know anything about ZK Sync. I haven't used ZK Sync. It's not EVM compatible. So again, like I already have my ETH bridged across 10 different blockchains that I have to but thankfully I have quick shield to Zerion. Love Zerion wallet, love Zerion team. They ship. They're good marketers, by the way.
Okay.
My personal favorite wallet. I like it because all the main EVM chains I use, I can just like, I can see them all. I can track them all. I can bridge swap. It's great. ZK Sync isn't on there, and they're not going to be on any main, as far as I'm aware, unless that's changed. I can't use ZK Sync across any of my main wallets right now. So it's like, because even though there obviously the ZK rollup, but I think the way they've configured it is for whatever reason it's not your standard kind of like EVM compatible.
I have them on Coinbase wallet. I got an airdrop of ZK Sync tokens from playing Crypto the Game again.
Let's go.
But I don't know that I have ever done anything else there. I think I have some ETH there in order to, if I feel like selling those tokens one day.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. And with Coinbase wallet, I would bet if you try to actually interact with ZK Sync,
that's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
You probably couldn't, is my bet. But maybe I'm wrong. I haven't actually even tried. But I'm just biased, I guess, because I'm like, if I can't see it on Zerion, I'm assuming because they support so many other EVM chains, so it'd be weird to me that they wouldn't support one of those big ones unless there's a reason. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
So speaking of ETH, a light tangent, but a question that we had earlier that from a very patient person was just curious about, these, because Ethereum obviously has spot ETFs. Interesting little development, got pushed through very quickly. So now in the United States, you've got two options: the Bitcoin spot ETF and the Ethereum spot ETF. And the question was just about, holding one versus holding the raw asset itself. Custodying your own Ether or custodying your own Bitcoin versus the spot ETF. And I always say, short and sweet, the benefit is that if you want to use hold any of the ETF, I do have the Bitcoin spot ETF in my Roth IRA because I wanted tax-free exposure to Bitcoin in some capacity, and I could put some in my ETF, and I'm so goddamn bullish on Bitcoin that I wanted it in as many places as possible. I own more regular Bitcoin than I do the ETF. But Blake, I didn't know if you had any thoughts about it. We've talked about the ETFs a little bit on the show, and obviously one of the big things we're looking for this year is the United States turning on staking for ETF held Ether. Yeah.
Come on, Paul Atkins.
For real.
It's going to happen. I think it's going to.
I think so as well.
100% going to happen.
I mean, just look at how much Ethereum World Liberty Financial has.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the new Nancy Pelosi tracker, but for crypto.
Seriously.
So is the question... No, let's go. That's a ding for sure. Wait, so is the question here around like ETFs versus like self-custodial? Really?
Yeah.
Like
would you touch the ETF? What's your take on it versus that? Who do you think the ETFs are for? Kind of general take on it.
I think it just depends on who you are. I would say for me, fuck that. I'm never touching. I was trading. I was like, just a quick backstory. Like my background in this is like, I was never a finance guy, but I was always interested in business, I guess, and elements of finance. So I was trading stocks and investing in stocks since high school up until only like 22. So I was deep in that. But once I got fully crypto pilled, I just sold everything and moved all into crypto. Because it's like, once you see the light, to me, I was like, why the fuck would I ever touch this shit again? It's, what is a 10% gain? Like, whoa, like it's nothing, right? Like in crypto, it's multiples. Anyway, so all that being said, I think TLDR, I think there's just a lot more opportunity and interesting ways to generate yields if you can own it self-custodially. That being said, I recognize that not everyone wants to do that. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone has the time to do that. So I would say ETFs are massive because for mainstream adoption, for institutions, most of those people never want to really interact with the DeFi protocol. They're not going to want to set up a wallet, seed phrase, all that. So net, I think it's a great thing for the industry. And I think most people, if you're not the type of person that wants to set up a crypto wallet, then an ETF is a great way to start and get exposure. Eventually, you know, and it's funny too, right? Because like we're at this part of the cycle now where a lot of my friends, I call them my fiat friends, or like they're starting to text me and reach out to me, and they're like, "Hey, like
fiat,
you know, like you've been telling me about Bitcoin for years. Like, how do I do it?" I'm like, "Oh my God." So I always just send them like my Coinbase referral link. But now that Coinbase is fucking over Solana so hard, I've been telling them like, well, maybe don't use Coinbase. Like, just use Robinhood because at least
I'm right there with
know,
you. Like, we are big Coinbase fans in general, mostly because of the free learning resource that they have, which you don't even need an account to access. And it is, in my opinion, still Coinbase. I'm looking at you because I'm pissed. Still the best one on the internet. Like
Coinbase sponsor these guys. Yeah,
dude, for real.
Not sponsored, but it could be. We'd give you more points if you'd sponsor us.
One thing I want to add about Robinhood is I had a coaching session last night, and these folks, it was a couple. Awesome story because she went and actually bought Bitcoin off of Craigslist 10 years ago. Met this guy at a store, you at hard drive, you know, kind of thing. Amazing story.
Epic.
You know, not a crazy amount of Bitcoin, but you know, today it's worth something, right? And then they went and bought some more Bitcoin on Robinhood, and they were trying to move it, and they're continuously getting like security alerts, and they could only move $5,000 at a time. And so they called their customer support a number of times. They've even reached out to their senators and Congress representatives to complain about it. Because
recently or
like over the past handful of weeks.
What?
And
that's
so
crazy.
what
all the way to the top.
They kept calling all the customer support for Robinhood, and they were like, "Oh, hey, like you should be good now." And then they went to go move a certain amount of money, and it triggered something else. So now instead of sending $5,000 at a time, they can only send $1,000, and they have a good chunk. And so what they're doing is they're so pissed off, they have alerts on their phones every 24 hours of when they can move $1,000 away from Robinhood, and they're doing that. And they're just like, Will, should we sell some of this and just like take it over to Bitcoin? Or take it over to Coinbase. And I was like, at this point, yeah, because fuck Robinhood. But also at the same time, like you should every 24 hours on the dot just move $1,000 worth of Bitcoin away from them and just slowly bleed that Bitcoin away from them. And so, you mentioned Robinhood, but I wanted to share that story because I thought those days of Robinhood customer experience were gone, but apparently they're still around.
No. Dude, they're so shady. They're so
shady.
That's unfortunate to hear. Okay, never mind. I guess I'm not going to recommend Robinhood to anyone then. Yeah, I guess stick with Coinbase.
I'm firmly on Team Kraken right now because of you
love Kraken.
The Coinbase kerfuffle, and I honestly I would have been a lot more fine with the Solana drama on Coinbase had they just handled it well. And I was disappointed to hear the messaging that came out around it personally, as a Coinbase user and a fan, and currently a Coinbase, whatever the hell they call it, subscriber for, you know, the
Coinbase One.
Coinbase One.
Yeah. Just because like we all knew what the issue was. Mert aired the laundry 20 minutes into the problem. He was not the only one. More people were talking about it, and they were still trying to shift the blame to other stuff. They had some weird banners on the exchange about it. Too many accounts are getting locked. Like I'm just like, you guys you got some cleanup to do, and I think that everyone deserves an explanation, you know, or just like a little bit better messaging around it. I was bearish on that for sure. And meanwhile, Kraken's social media intern just let loose and went full nutter butter on everybody and was just
crushed it,
going
absolutely
bananas.
crushed it.
Yeah, killed it. So good.
I also love Kraken's communication on Twitter because there was a screenshot shared in the Discord where it was a Kraken tweet that said, we were bored. We listed these 3 meme coins. It was like we listed these 3 shit coins, and it was like some pretty popular meme coins. And I was just like, that's awesome. I was like, I love that. I love that communication. That's hilarious.
No, they saw the moment and they capitalized on the moment, and they did a good job. So you want to talk marketing? One caught me. I was like, that's how you address a moment, and you don't lose the moment.
Kraken team fucks. That's how we say it. Yeah.
Not to mention, I will continue to harp on the same security tidbit that I've been harping on for years. The Kraken security team is the one that broke the hardware wallet thing how many years ago and found that exploit. And now I'm gonna have to go back and refine the story because it was super cool. But their security team was the one that originally broke that thing, fixed that exploit, called it out, and got the bug fix in there. So bullish. Anyway.
Okay, so we have time for probably
shilling for tonight.
We probably have time to do like
Sponsor
one
us.
more. Well, what I was kind of thinking is
Sponsor us.
listen.
Yeah, I should have said not sponsored by Kraken, but I mean, obviously it should be. Did you hear that?
Obviously it should be, but I'm giving you the
should be.
Should be. We do have some warm leads with Kraken, so hopefully we can make it happen. But we're recognizing that we're coming up on our time.
Wait, before we move on, I just want to say to the public, and if anyone at Kraken is watching, if you sponsor the show, I on live will dress up as a Kraken in perpetuity. just a big Kraken outfit. Just, hey, what's up, guys?
That's worth the price of admission.
That's
right there. Just to have Will in it.
And you know I love my costumes.
You probably have.
Wow.
I probably have. I have a Kraken costume. Just wait.
I would do a segment of the show where you could just do a dolphin noise in a Kraken costume.
For context, Blake, on Halloween last year, Will posted probably 16 or 17 TikToks, and each one he was in a different costume.
It was 16,
and they were all good costumes.
Yeah,
they were all good.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
he went
hard.
I
gotta follow. I gotta follow Will and go check those out. Yeah,
hell yeah, man.
He went hard.
Yeah, right, we'll definitely get
to 19 times.
However, you're really gonna have to dig down there because there are days that
go
Will's
by prolific. Let me tell you.
So I thought I was gonna take a light day, and I made 14 videos.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
Dude.
Carol Camper in the comments says I would sew a Kraken costume. So Carol,
yes.
Here's a preemptive point for you. Kraken, call us.
What are
call
we doing?
us.
I don't know. We're just giving ourselves away for free to Kraken at this point.
A little,
because now I really want that Kraken costume.
Okay, so we're almost at the point where I'm going to rally up some point totals, tally up some point totals. So rally your points, and we will announce the winner for show. Before we do that, I would love to turn it to, after we do that, we'll do like a final thought. Everybody gets to like pick a winner, pick a loser, give a final thought kind of thing after we announce the points totals. But Blake, since you're our guest, one of the things I thought would be kind of fun is just looking ahead in our space. Maybe some of the trends that you feel, you talk about product versus marketing, and our space is nothing if not clever narratives. And I would be really curious if there are any promising narratives where you feel like product and marketing are finding good fit in the year 2025. And if there's something else you'd rather talk about or touch on at the end, then certainly the floor is yours. I'll give you a chance to pitch all your socials and stuff again too. But what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's all that unique. I really think like AI, right? Agents. I think there's a lot of hype, right? For sure. But what I always say is like the tech is only going to get better. It's not getting any worse, right? So, and I think, you know, this people have talked about on Twitter and I thought about a lot. And like as a DAO, by the way, right? Like I'm always thinking about, you know, how do we make ourselves more autonomous? And we've been experimenting with AI on a lot of fronts, but you know, the tech that was available when we started playing with it in like November 23 is vastly superior to that, right? Like now Zapier, and even on Zapier, I can connect ChatGPT and start to like streamline a lot of things that we're doing, at least for ourselves. And so I think like no code AI is going to become more and more powerful. I think we're working with a couple clients who are building some really bullish like consumer apps that, you know, everyone has like trading bots, but now it's going to be a lot smarter and a lot more intelligent in terms of how you trade and how you can actually allocate your portfolio, that actually has some kind of reasoning built into it. So I hate to kind of sound, I don't know, like I'm kind of parroting the thing, but I do generally believe like what we're going to see this year is, I think it's a confluence of like the regulation is coming in. I think the infra is like good enough that you can do so much now. I'm always bullish on consumer, but well, I used to be more bullish on consumer, I guess. I think what we're starting to see is like product market fit for blockchain. Like crypto is the clearest product market fit, right? Because it's like speculation. And so it's kind of like, do you lean away from that or do you lean into that? And I think there's still going to be those applications in the future, those killer apps. We haven't seen them yet, but I'm sure in the coming years, like you never know when it hits, right? It'll just hit and then you'll be like, oh shit, this feels so obvious. But I think what we're going to see this year probably is going to be, you know, beyond AI XPT and these agents that are just basically like Twitter influencers, just kind of like very simple models. I think we're going to start to see more and more robust, interesting interactions. So basically like what Virtuals promises to be, but hasn't quite yet unlocked, right? I think Virtuals is like the very V1 and the very like primitive iPod moment. And I think over the coming, hopefully by the end of this year, we're going to see some really crazy stuff in terms of what you can unlock. It's kind of weird to me that like, you know, maybe it's out there and I just am not aware. But I just want a simple agent that I can talk to that's a clean, sexy UX and UI. It's like, let me connect my wallets or whatever, or let me deposit some crypto and then, you know, use these strategies and just do it for me, right? Like why hasn't that been built yet?
It's coming. We had somebody break to us a project that I have been really excited about called Hey Anon. Have you seen it? Our friend Nathan.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah, is that the one? Hold on. Yeah.
Go ahead. It's built on S Network, the upgraded Phantom. But it's the token trades on Base and on Solana, and it's a usable product. He was in the alpha and was telling us about it, and it's about to go to beta. But the product previews that we have seen of it are a Chat GPT type interface. It's a Telegram bot. Here's the thing. And the founder is Daniel Sesta, who did Time Wonderland last cycle and is aware of his reputation.
My thoughts.
And
I was about to say, I was like,
you know, sees this as his I think his own words are that it's his revenge arc, which take that how you will. So certainly it'll get attention, not just for his reputation, but because the product is essentially a Telegram bot that you tell, you know, you create a wallet, get a private key, and you say, great, we have $1,000 of USDC. I am interested in deploying it, and it'll, you know, on these networks or whatever, and it'll return, here are the 3 strategies I recommend. This one is the best. Here's the yield. Do you want me to go? And the transaction is your response. Yes, you know.
I will flag right now that actually this is hot off the press, but as of I think yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw the announcement from Telegram and Ton. You cannot build Telegram bots using other blockchains anymore. So he may have to make a rapid pivot. Not to poo-poo on his parade, but
it's shipped already. So are they gonna just kill it?
So they're giving them, they're gonna give them till, I think if you already deployed an app, because I have a couple friends building Telegram, you know, using Solana, Telegram dApps, and they're
I use Banana Gun all the time.
Now. Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work now. I think they're gonna have to shut down or do something else.
That is such a brutal move. Wow,
that's a big one.
I think it's a very short-sighted move. But or it could have been more elegantly done, right? It's like maybe you can use Solana or other blockchains, but you have to use some amount of time. But to just create complete exclusivity, I think is killing an ecosystem that.
But they got the customers, dude. They have got the users,
they got the
man.
People.
I mean, that's true.
Wow.
But are they the people that are going to trade? I don't know. You know, like I don't even know how to buy Ton. Honestly, like, and
it's hard to do. You could do it because you can get outside of the U.S. and be other places. But if you're like stuck in the U.S., it's very hard to do. I got some. It was tough. Crazy. Yeah. I wish I had been able to get more, but it was tough. I'm looking at them for the bear market because they have so many. I mean, I heard an interview with their one of their blockchain builders, and they were just talking about like the metrics, the numbers, how many people they could actually bring on chain like tomorrow, or that they have already brought into on-chain experiences through Telegram that didn't even know that. It was like when Reddit dropped NFTs and all of a sudden millions and millions of people had them. It was cool.
It's interesting. I think based off this, I'm very curious. I feel like there's going to be some kind of middleware solution that somebody needs to build of like how do you connect Ton and every other EVM or Sol ecosystem, and like I think there's a huge opportunity just to like do that. I don't know,
just to save those projects.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, we'll
yeah.
keep our eyes out for it, and when we hear
Anyways.
about it, we're going to call you first. But now it is time, I have to say, for us to announce the winners of the points total competition. Will, because you were
think it
upset
was
about me
Blake.
giving a point, I'm going to go ahead and give you an extra one just because I am feeling generous. And
Oh, I
Alex,
thought it was going to be Guamp.
because you're actually in last place, I'm going to give you another point too. The totals are with 1 point, Jupiter ahead of 1 Gwump, Polka Dot. Nice try, play again next time.
Yikes,
Tied for last place among our hosts and guests with 3 points. Alex, it's you and me. In second place with 6 points, it's Will Watson, and that means your winner tonight is our guest, Blake.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Blake.
You're too kind.
Congratulations.
You're too kind.
We would love for you to, we kind of like to do a final thought question suggestion or a winner. Usually we do a lot of altcoin or crypto project reviews, but pick a winner from the episode. We'll let you go first, or if you want to think about it.
Well, Evan, you know what this would be a good time to implement bullish and bearish again, because it's been a while since we did
bullish
that
and
segment.
bearish. We don't have a sound for it, but pick one thing you're bullish about, one thing you're bearish about. Alex, since you introduced the segment, to give Blake time to think, why don't you go first? And in the audience, we want you to play along. Let us know what you're bullish about this week in crypto, what you're feeling bearish about, what's just got you down. And who knows, maybe we'll give out some points to the audience too. What do you got, Alex?
So, yeah, I'm going to say just to kind of tie it up as the bullish bearish for the week. Bearish, I am bearish on the leader of the free world launching his own meme coin. You know, I'm glad he bought a bunch of
the ultimate influencer coin.
Yeah, but just I mean, I've got a reputation to uphold, and I hate influencer coins. And then I am bullish. I mean, in the theme of tonight's episode, I am truly so freaking bullish on good storytellers. And right now, the cream of the crop as far as telling stories is Solana, and they have the product to back it up. So love it or hate it. If you hate it and you love something else, encourage them to tell a better story, because they're not doing it.
Yeah,
that's me.
Well said. J Pill says bullish on Mad Evan, bearish on Nice Evan.
Nice
so
Evan.
I guess Nice Evan's gonna have to go away.
I heard you got angry in a clip or something.
I don't know. Some guy was antagonizing me about something. I think he was talking about why don't you trade more and make more money or something. And I was like, listen, man, if I wanted to trade more frequently, I would obliterate you. I think I said something like that. I would obliterate you, and I would abolish you. I don't know. It was a moment of ego. I am bullish on just the quality. We've had some really great quality guests lately, including yourself, and some really quality audiences. So bullish on that. Thank you, everybody. And I am absolutely bearish on the fact that we keep wearing our glasses and our beards and looking like we are in a Warby Parker commercial, and they haven't sponsored us yet. Some guy was talking to us about that today. We were on a meeting actually with Wormhole Blake, and Josh was wearing the same glasses. Alex and I have the same pair of glasses, and I'm usually wearing them. And Josh was like also wearing them. It was like 3 white guys with beards and clear glasses, and I was like, somebody call Warby Parker right this second. It was
get that sponsorship. Get that on chain. Let's launch Warby token.
Warby token, exactly. Will, what about you? Bullish and bearish. What you bullish and bearish on?
I'm bullish on whatever World Liberty Financial buys.
Honestly,
because insider trading on the blockchain is actually really nice.
Open source insider trading is a wild
open source
concept.
insider trading. Right. Welcome to 2025, ladies and gentlemen.
Open source
by the president,
tracker, as you said.
For real.
And then what am I bearish on?
Can I just say how funny it would be if, with no preamble, no warning, Nancy Pelosi drops a meme?
I mean, it'd be great. At that point, you should just have a meme of every senator.
Dude, if she's just like, wait a second, he did what? pump fund. And
Yeah.
We're trading senators now.
No, you know when the Trump meme coin pumped so hard, Nancy Pelosi just like put herself in a room alone, just like, yeah, he out insider traded me.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know when Trump traded so hard, she was already in her sunglasses, like at her computer, like what's the CA? You know what I mean? She was ready to click.
Just ordered a pair of pit vipers and she's ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you bearish on, Will?
Let's say a combination of Japanese interest rates being hiked and us not having a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the United States yet. Give me that executive order, Trump.
Bearish.
I want it now.
Although,
It's been,
you know what
it's
else?
been like 2 days.
I want it now.
Well,
2 days
speaking-
is forever in crypto.
speaking
I have
of,
3 more gray hairs.
Speaking though of crypto, lightly crypto adjacent executive orders, it wasn't spelled wrong in the order, but the announcement tweet or truth or whatever it's called, he spelled Ross's name wrong today.
Oh
No way.
no! How do you spell
Yeah.
Ross wrong?
No. He
Was
spelled
it his last
right.
name?
He wrote Ross
yeah.
Albright, like Bright.
Oh, without it's a C, right? CHT.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
like
yeah.
Ulbricht.
Ulbricht. Yeah.
Ulbricht.
So bearish.
Yeah, that one's not crazy.
We're
Yeah,
back.
I get it.
You know.
So back.
Anyway.
We've got bullish on dogs. We've got bearish on decentralizing computing. We've got bullish on XRP. Blake, as our honored guest and the winner tonight,
Yeah.
what are you bullish on? What are you bearish on?
I'm bullish on the state of regulation and the market catalysts that are going to come for crypto this year in terms of, I think I won't go too deep into it, but I think like if Raoul Paul, like I'm sure many people here probably know, like he's a big macro investor and big fan. Got to meet him at that first conference, Crypto Bahamas, took a selfie. It's one of the very few KOL selfies I have.
Our friend
Really
Joe
cool
is
guy.
going to see him at a conference sometime, I think at the end of this month.
That interview
He's
he
so
did
cool.
with Stephen Bartlett is
Yeah.
so good. Everybody
It's
should watch
excellent.
Diary of the CEO with Raoul Paul. It's
Yeah.
a phenomenal
Yeah.
interview.
There we go. He's so sharp. But I was just watching a recent one, and I've been watching all his stuff, and I'm a member of his community as well. And I think if you look at like all the things that Trump is going to do in the next 4 years, it's a very similar playbook to what we saw in his last presidency. And basically, all those things are bullish for the crypto market. And when you combine that with the regulation that's going to come and all the tech that's been built, I think it's going to be a crazy 4 years for the industry in a very positive way. What am I bearish on? Honestly,
Bearish.
I hate to say it. ETH Foundation and potentially ETH until that stuff can get figured out. I don't want to say bearish on ETH itself, but at least the leadership and how they're putting all that together. I'm just skeptical as someone who literally runs and is the leader of a decentralized community of how hard that task that is to turn that ship around. But I'm also hopeful that Vitalik and everyone else in the community can really help make some changes that we need to really get ETH going again. And like Alex was talking about, I think like good storytelling. And right now that's really lacking and missing from the Ethereum community. But it feels like people are waking up, like we're shaking shit up. And so hopefully things start to change. Yeah.
I don't think I would wear a MAGA hat, but I would definitely wear a mega hat if it was Make ETH Great Again and the acronym was mega. I would wear the shit out of that.
I have one.
They have them?
Doing it at ECC. Yeah.
That is
Mega
such
ETH
a good
was giving
piece of
away-
merch. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's such
I
a
have a
good
photo.
piece of merch for
I'll
Mega
send it
ETH to
to you.
do. Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
oh man, I love it. I love it.
Mega hat. Yeah.
Okay, so Blake, tell us one more time. Give us the pitch for the show. When does it air? Where does it stream? And also how folks can find you. And we'll get our dogs and ponies out of here.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I'm blakeminhokim, Blakeminhokim on Twitter. You can find Myosin, MYOSIN_XYZ, Myosin XYZ on Twitter. That's where you can find us doing our live streams every week, generally on Wednesdays at roughly 11 a.m. Eastern. We're doing one next week with the CEO and co-founder of Superfluid. Really cool token streaming protocol, a bit more niche, but really interesting conversations. Some we go a bit deeper, some we go a bit more high level. Really depends. We like to shake shit up. And then you can also find us on Spotify, Apple, Podstop Media, like I said, where you can actually, if you're deep enough, you can actually mint our episodes on Base, open edition mints, of course. Really fun stuff. So, but in general, just follow us there and check it out. Really fun stuff. And yeah, we're all going to keep building and marketing and growing this space together. So appreciate what you guys are doing for the space as well. I mean, I think this is really important. Like, you know, I feel like in crypto, we're so deep in our Twitter bubble. So for you guys to be doing this and really reaching the masses is so important, I think.
Hey, man.
So
Thanks,
big
dude.
shout out to you guys. Yeah.
We really appreciate it. And
And the
anytime
next time we have you on here, we'll have a Kraken costume for you.
that's exactly right.
With all of our tentacles. Just
A Kraken costume,
Like
the Mega
every-
ETH hat.
Someone's like, man, it's been a couple months since I watched Rise Up After Dark morning show. I wonder what they're up to. Oh God, it's hentai.
We're all
They went full
Krakens
hentai.
Yeah, exactly.
Man,
And
he
if
took
that
it there.
happens, you know, we'll do Bullish and Bearish. We'll tell you about it. My friends, this is your last chance. We welcome you to follow us wherever you see us, because these are our only official profiles. We will absolutely never reach out to you unsolicited first to offer you investment advice or even ask how you're doing. It's not that we don't care. It's just that that's scammy behavior, man.
It's that
Anybody
we
who does
do.
that. It's that we do. You're damn right. I'll give you a point for that, Alex. And-
Too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
The point totals are already in.
Surprise point. Hell yeah.
Find us in the Discord, discord.gg/riseup. That's the best way, where the show lives 24/7. The only thing missing is you. And we will be back tomorrow morning, Thursday, bright and early, or bright and late. I don't know, late and dark. It's morning somewhere.
Late and dark.
7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Get ready to rise up. Until then, my friends, stay safe, be well, and everybody, rise up.